Up next, let's check in with Nebraska Extension Ag Climatologist and Market Journal Chief Meteorologist Eric Hunt. Eric, I mentioned it, a lot of planters still sitting in the shed like the one behind us here on the broadcast because of the rain that's fallen over the past several days at this point. As we look to the week ahead, will we have some good days for planting progress?
Thanks, Bryce. I'm seeing a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel with regards to getting back out and planting, but I think the tractors will be stuck in the shed for just a little bit longer. One of the responsible culprits for keeping the tractors in the shed a bit longer is this trough moving into the high plains early this part of this next week. As that low pressure system moves up into South Dakota, out ahead of it, we'll be in the warm, moist sector here across the eastern half of the state. The Storm Prediction Center here on Thursday has already put a good portion of the state in the slight risk category for severe storms on Monday afternoon. So again, I think we're going to pay very close attention in the eastern half of the state on Monday afternoon and Monday evening for large hail, damaging winds, and possibly some more tornadoes, which again, after this past Friday, we don't need any more of those. In addition to that, we're definitely looking at some pretty good chances of half-inch to inch of rain across the eastern half of the state. Potentially a little bit more than what's being predicted here by the WPC across the northern part of the Panhandle as well. Also, very welcome rains across the northern high plains into the southern Canadian prairies, which would be very welcome for reducing some long-standing drought conditions up in that area and hopefully reducing some wildfire chances up there this summer. In terms of precipitation, the European ensemble shows basically almost a guarantee of getting an inch of rain across most of the eastern half of Nebraska and some chance of getting that much moisture across the western portion of the state as well. In terms of temperatures next week, again, it will be much warmer the eastern side of the U.S. and pretty cool across the western U.S. will be dominated by troughing in the next week. Basically, the further west you go in Nebraska, the cooler the temperatures will be for most of this next week. The CPC is showing that it's likely to remain cooler than average across a lot of the high plains region through getting into the middle of the month. And if we take a look at that kind of the same time period on the European model, they were actually showing a little bit more broad area of cooler temperatures. So again, this may be a little bit overdone, but I definitely think we are looking at it being a little bit cooler than average during the period of May 8th to the 14th. The CPC is showing it being wetter than average across the good portion of the country as we head into the middle of the month. But the good news, though, is the European model is showing a little bit maybe more normal to slightly drier than average conditions across most of Nebraska as we move into the May 8th to 14th time period. That does not mean any rain at all, but it does mean that maybe we are going to get into the end of the very active period, and maybe we'll start having some longer breaks in between precipitation, which we could absolutely use so people can get back out in the field. Speaking of precipitation, we've had a lot of rain across most of the state here in the last week. A few exceptions, parts of south central Nebraska and, of course, parts of the northern western panhandle under a couple inches. But big winters have been Broken Bow down toward Lexington with over 5 inches of rain in some spots. This has definitely helped soil moisture. Again, this is probably about the best in terms of where we've been in the state in early May in quite a few years. This is definitely good news. And in terms of the drought monitor, we did see quite a bit of improvement across southwestern Nebraska, parts of the central Nebraska, and some elimination of D0 and D1 across portions of northeastern Nebraska as well. Soil temperatures, generally speaking, are in the mid to upper 50s to low 60s. And we have a lot of tornado reports across eastern Nebraska and central Nebraska this past Friday. And I just want to point out that we have a new webinar series coming up. Thanks. Back to you, Bryce.